Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and this is Belinda. Hello, Belinda. How are you this
Hello,
evening?
everybody. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, very partly winded and mostly gassed about all this garbage going on in our, I think it's our government. I'm not really sure anymore. But that is why we have the show tonight. It's called the Special Report, the current events. It's going to be a doozy. We got some stuff to bitch about tonight. So, hope you guys are ready to participate in the chat. We'll make it a point to keep an eye on you and see if you got comments, statements, or otherwise. Um, it's it's going to be interesting. Let me wave a hand real quick at some of the folks that have already joined us because you could be doing anything else in the world and you choose to hang out with us, which is really, really cool. We got 2020 DM Duke Rawls here, folks. We have Thomas Kellogg, DM again. As a matter of fact, we got DM a bunch of times. Conservative Patriot, good to see you, brother. Linda Horner, welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, let's see. Disabled Vets Perspective is in there. That's kind of cool. Margot, good to see you. Sandra and McGibbon. And History
Uh-oh.
B is here too. So, yep, we got a good group together tonight. Hello, Jane. You just got in here right before we started. So, anywho, Belinda, you may have noticed there's some kind of hearing going on. I'm not real sure what it's
Hmm.
about. Um,
Do
I just
tell.
heard about it. Mo Reese, welcome, brother. Good to see you. There's something about an impeachment. I think that requires evidence, and I'm not. I don't know if I'm seeing it, so
Evidence.
I
Do
don't know
you have
what's
a
going on.
definition?
Uh, I I'm not sure, but no, this has been quite the charade. What are we in day 3 now?
Hmm. Yes, sir.
Did you happen to catch the other ones?
I caught some yesterday. Yeah, and I just caught some YouTube snippets of the other one. I didn't get to see, what
Yeah,
was
I
that?
sat through.
Fridays. I didn't get to see Fridays.
Yeah, Lisa and I managed to struggle through a bit of that, but I mean, after the first or second time of puking on our shoes, we just got tired of cleaning up and went to listening to snippets because then you can sort of control what's going on and you can turn it off when you're ready and step outside and get some air and whatever. But I mean, this has just been crazy. Um,
Yes, sir.
what did you think about the what's his bow tie wearing dude and the other one?
The bow tie
They're
wearing
so
dude.
important. I can't think of his stupid name, but um,
The bow tie wearing dude. Who wears a bow tie?
the bow tie was in day one.
Jerry something another? Nadler?
Uh, Not
Yeah.
Nadler. No, he's in a different committee. This was the witnesses they had, or they can't even be witnesses because to be a witness means you
There was nothing
actually
to witness.
witnessed. Right. So this whole title, uh, it says witness, but it's not a legal term that works in that. Um, I bleed American Patriot, Dangerous Freedom. Good to see you all. I see Jane too jumped in here. Um, so where do we go from here, Belinda?
Well,
Maggie Moses, good to see you.
I didn't know that Shifty Shift, or whatever his name is, who, by the way, have you noticed his chair is bigger than everybody else's? He has
Oh
such a
yes,
small
the
man's
king on the
complex.
throne.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
has such a small man complex that his chair is bigger. And have you noticed how he never
yeah,
turns his head to address anybody? He just talks straight ahead like a robot.
yeah. Well,
He
it's
never
hard
turns.
to turn your head when the mainstream media has their hands shoved so far up your ass you can't move your neck.
He
So
has no independent
yeah,
thought. This
he
guy has no independent thought. He's a puppet for the puppet masters that we
right.
still don't know who they are.
Yeah, Shelley Fredrickson, welcome. Yeah, it is truly fascinating when he mentions that somebody's not recognized. Then he slaps his gavel around, but he looks straight ahead And when Devin Nunes is next to him, ripping him to shreds, he doesn't even blink. I mean, he just looks
because he
straight
has
ahead.
no
And
balls.
that was going to be my next question. But, me being of the male persuasion, I didn't necessarily want to go there because, it's none of my business. But
Yes,
a lot of things have been going on. And today, with uh, I know this Lieutenant Colonel Vinman, he's nothing but a snake in the grass. Just because he wears a uniform does not gain him any respect from me because I wore a uniform and I'd never turn on my country. And for him to do it makes him absolute scum beneath the bowels of the earth.
well, one,
Is
I
my
would
thought.
follow the chain of command. The
Yeah,
the Russian plant and his two other brothers that are also in the military, uh, he didn't follow the chain of command. And then
no.
in the when they were
Well, he thinks
talking,
he is the chain of command. He believes wholeheartedly he is the master on Crimea and that it is he who handles all of the information. He doesn't believe he has a chain of command. He doesn't even think the president should have anything to do with it beyond him.
yeah, he's very arrogant. He what was he offered? He offered Ukraine's defense minister job.
Yeah,
Pardon me, 3 times. And he thinks it's funny.
right.
You have to be saying something to a foreign government to be offered their defense minister job. That's a big deal. And he just laughed it off. And, I discussed it with my brother who's sitting here behind me and his other brothers in the military. And the other thing that got me
Right.
about his statement about him coming here, his sad statement about coming to this country, uh, he made a
Yeah.
point of telling his father, "Do not worry, I will be uh, free of harm for telling the truth." So, what is he implying? What is
Yeah.
he trying to imply there? Because Schiff isn't sworn in, so any comment that Schiff says
Well,
before,
they
during,
have
or
total
after this,
immunity.
he has not been sworn in. So there is a
Right.
big problem where he can just make it up as he goes, which we know is the Democrats' way of doing business. I said, they're like the bad parent, you know, don't do as I
Right.
do, do as I say, or something, whatever that thing is. But he's
Right.
he's not sworn in. He doesn't address anyone. He only speaks. And that's why I said the other night, if something happens to Trump, I'm just concerned. I mean, really, like my heart skips a beat concerned what could happen.
Well,
But he's not, because when it goes to the
unfortunately,
Senate, I mean, they can't, it's Republican
well,
controlled. He
it
can't,
should be dead in water. The
it will be
problem
in
is
December.
that everybody is compromised. There's dirt on just about everybody that holds an elected office. And right now, you've got Mitt Romney. Um, oh, what's his funky mustache dude? Used to be. Um, can't think of his damn name. I can't think of names. I mean, there's so many damn names. It's hard to keep them all. But anyway, it's three people going through the Senate trying to intimidate the Republicans over there into getting votes for impeachment. So it is it's possible they could pull some rabbit out of their ass and get this impeachment done because of all the compromising information they have on everybody. But
But once it goes to
it's
the
kind of like,
Senate, I mean, it's going to die right there, right?
but that's
I
what I'm
mean, this
saying.
is
The
like
people of the Senate,
oh,
the
okay.
Senate is being scoured right now by Mitt Romney and a couple of other people. They're going through there saying, "Well, I have this dirt on you, and if you don't vote in our favor, we'll just make sure it leaks out." So they're using intimidation, but also Nancy Pelosi apparently is using the Mexico Canada Free Trade Agreement as a leveraging tool to get votes for impeachment too. Basically, telling them, if you don't vote for this impeachment, I'm not going to honor this trade agreement.
I,
So what can you do?
there's just so many.
Yeah,
irons in the fire, and so many things that do connect, and then there are things in the fire that don't make any sense, that just
right,
make this impeachment is people's opinion of a phone call. The transcripts have been released, and these are a bunch of never
right,
Trumpers that are saying, in my opinion, the phone call was improper. In my opinion, it sounded,
right.
like they were trying to take the Bidens out. Well, the
And what
Bidens
I
did
heard
something
from that
wrong.
person that heard also, everybody heard from her and somebody else. Um, Tigger Kilman says, I don't think they really want to get rid of Trump before the election. They are just trying to dig up enough dirt on him to make him lose 2020. Um, I kind of thought that too, but I thought interfering with an election was illegal. Well, okay, I'm stand corrected. It's only illegal if you're conservative or a Republican. Um, yeah, so that's the next kind of question. What the hell is going on with the Republicans? Why
Yeah.
are they putting up with this crap?
Yeah, and they continue to put up with it because we all hold out hope. Oh, Hillary's gonna, is finally gonna get it. Oh, the server, her emails. Oh, her uranium deal. Oh, this money being transferred around. Nothing's happened. The only thing that's happened
Yeah,
is
well,
Jeffrey
apparently
Epstein
she's got
ended up
a.
dead.
You're right. Jeffrey didn't kill himself. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it just turns out today also that Hillary Clinton was on an airplane that got out to the runway and then had to
I saw
turn
that.
around and go back to the gate because it had a damaged engine.
Damn it.
And yeah, well, the thing is, if they remember her threat, if I go down, everybody else goes down with me. Well, the cabal isn't going to be able to tolerate that. So it's entirely possible that they've decided that she's no longer an asset, that she's more of a liability, and they're going to do something to get her out of the way. The problem is they're willing to do this kind of stuff and they're willing to kill hundreds of people around their target as well because life has no value to them. But what are the odds of the plane that Hillary Clinton happens to be on having debris in the engine
A faulted engine.
right
Yeah.
when they're getting ready to take off? Yeah. So that doesn't seem very coincidental to me. That seems very directed. And they'd be willing to take out that whole plane of people as their cover up.
Yeah. Well, what's she doing flying that way anyway? I mean, doesn't she have all the secret service in the whole wide world? I mean, what is she doing? What kind of
Yeah, she
aircraft
just
was
sits
this?
in
What
first
was she
class.
at Jacksonville International, waiting in Concourse C to fly to Newark or something? Yeah.
Well, apparently,
I-
she was on an American Airlines flight. She
really?
was taking a commercial flight. So, I personally, I think they're running out of money. I think that they're having to do a lot of paybacks to people that they had a lot of promises to, and I think their budget's kind of getting lean. I heard.
Well,
Let's
I
see,
think
what
they
was
have
that? Just a
unlimited
second.
funds, but Shift is in no way trying to hold a legitimate hearing because these are just opinions. And the whole purpose, we've held aid back for during the Obama administration because of
Hold on,
countries that. Hmm?
hold on, just one second. I just read this. This is very interesting. It says I heard they want to impeach Trump in a recess vote over the holidays in Congress and in the Senate. Um, I don't know that they can do that. I know that there's a such thing as recess appointments, but that goes the other way. When the House and the Senate are out of session, the White House can do recess appointments where they don't have to do the hearings and things like that. I have to look into that because I don't think that they can do a recess vote because everything that the House and Senate votes for has to go across the president's desk. So that's sort of how that system works. With him being the pinnacle, you can't really make the decision for anything having to do with the White House if everything that you do has to go under his signature. So, very interesting concept, but I want to look into that and see what that really is about.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can't find anything
Yeah,
about
History
that
B
at
says
the
Dems can
moment.
do whatever they want to do. Yeah,
Well, yeah.
that's literally they can do anything they want to do, and Republicans do nothing about it.
Yeah, because I mean, so many people now are, because the Democrat, and I know I'm jumping all over the place this evening. I apologize. As we were
That's all right.
coming
That's what
back
this is about.
from St. Augustine today, the only channel we could find it on was NPR to listen to the hearing, and to hear the people with NPR talk. It's so condescending, and all the Democrats talk that way. They talk to you as if you don't have, you don't have the smallest bit of intelligence, and you don't have any common sense, and you're constantly being talked down to. And
Right.
Randy and I have said it before. If I get pulled over, I'm just going to tell the cop, "What does it matter?" You know, that's obviously a defense for
Yeah.
Benghazi. What does it matter? I can just make
Right.
up something and sound sincere in it, and then it's up to you to prove me wrong, instead of
Right.
just being called out for the lying assholes that they are, lying buttheads that they are.
Yeah.
It's up to
Well,
a whole congressional, you know, uh, hearing to try and figure it out, and that's just insane. They're just wasting my money. They've done nothing this whole time. Trump's been in office, they've accomplished nothing but trying to cover their own
well,
asses.
they've been really good at obstruction. That's an accomplishment.
They what? I'm sorry.
I said they've been very good at obstruction. That's an
Oh
accomplishment.
well, yes, yeah. I guess if yeah, they're good at it, and nobody calls them on it. But this IG
Yeah.
report that's going to come out in December, it's from what I heard, several hundred pages, and
500.
this is 500 pages, and this is really
Yep.
gonna hopefully finally, bust on them some and start taking
Yeah,
them
but you
down.
realize how many times they've said it's coming out. You know when it was
Yeah, oh
finished?
yeah.
It was finished back in
September.
September. Yep.
Yeah, but see,
So
now is Trump
they have
holding it?
constantly
Is
said it's
this
coming. It's not. No, no, no. Trump doesn't have it. It's Barr that has it. William Barr has total control and a permission on all aspects of redaction and release.
okay? But what my question is, are they holding it to counter this farce of an impeachment hearing? I mean,
Well,
when the
that would be
TV
this
channels,
excuse, perhaps.
eh,
But then, what was the last excuse for withholding it? If this is going to be a recurring issue, if they're going to constantly say, "Oh, we're holding it because of this, we're holding it because of that," all the Democrats have to do is keep playing these stupid games, and they'll bring up the next thing that will prevent the release of the report.
oh, I
So
didn't know the
that one
Democrats were
just
preventing the release of it. I just thought I
well,
didn't know
they're
that they
not
were preventing it.
directly. But that's what I'm saying. They're not directly, but what they're doing is they're putting out something like this one is the impeachment hearing or the inquisition, and could that be the excuse that Barr is using this time to not release the report because we don't want it to look like we're trying to interfere with an impeachment inquiry? And the last time when they were
Oh, I
doing
don't
the
know.
Mueller report, well, we don't want it to look like we're trying to interfere with the Mueller report, and these games can continue indefinitely. They're just going to keep saying, "Oh, well, we can't release it now because we don't want it to look like we're trying to mess with the elections." So at
Hmm.
some point, they have to drop the ball and say, "We're going to do it. We're just going to turn it out."
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know why. I guess I just never thought to listen to or to look for why they're waiting to December. Yeah, I mean anything is possible. If and I
Yeah,
sometimes I'm still shocked. I'm shocked that I'm shocked when Democrats do certain things. I'm still shocked that they can shock me. Does that make any sense?
I have lost.
I'm
I've
surprised I'm
lost the
still getting
shock
shocked.
factor. Yeah, I mean, it's. I guess it just takes a little while for that to really wear off. Yeah, Q says it's coming soon. I know, but Q also said it's coming soon for the last 8
2
months.
years. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just I'm not being cynical. I'm being I guess skeptical because I'm sort of one of these that, when there's enough evidence to take down a murderer, do you leave him on the street until he can make another murder, or do you go ahead and get them the hell off the street? And the same thing with the Democrats. All these delays are leading to more people getting hurt, like Roger Stone. I mean, he has been absolutely railroaded for process crimes, and most of those are usually set up by the interviewers. So if they want to nail you, they can ask you the same question three different ways. And if you answer that question in one of those three ways, if you answer it and your series of words is out of order from the original answer, then they can say, well, that was a lie because this is how you answered it the first time. And these process crimes are designed to take somebody out without a criminal background.
I agree. I mean, that's a sound thought, and I agree with everything that you're saying there.
Just
That's
when
like
you think they
I
can't sink any lower, they dig the pits of hell even. They dig the pits of hell even deeper. Fred said that. I agree, Fred.
exactly when you just think that I have been they've shocked me. All I can be shocked. They do something else, and
Yeah,
uh, but it's like this. What's this supposed lieutenant colonel's name? Vadman,
Vindman,
Vladimir
Vindman.
Vidman, Vidman.
Yep,
Yeah, he
Wiedemann.
Wiedemann, comrade.
Yes,
Yes.
the comrade
uh,
Wiedemann. Yes, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Jawohl, yeah, das. Anyway, I find it very peculiar that someone that immigrated here has uh, rose to such a level of, especially where they immigrated from. Either we have a
Right,
stupid government, which I think we do, or this guy's a plant, or a combination of the both. For all three of these boys, they came over when they were toddlers. For all three of these guys to be in prominent positions within the military, and they hold,
right.
I can't remember what that clearance is called, the one way above
Class
top
five.
secret. Uh,
Class five.
they they all have these clearances. He was able to talk to his one brother about this upsetting partisan phone call that he overheard with Trump. He was able to talk to his brother, but won't shitty or shift won't let him talk about the other person that he talked to. So is this guy Vladimir, the whistleblower? Is there somebody else really involved and they're just trying to cover it up? What I don't think there's a whistleblower. I mean, they know
Well, there.
they know
He's a
everybody that was
CIA
on the
asset.
phone call. They know everyone that was on the phone call. So all the whistleblower would be somebody like me going to the police department and says, "Hey, I think my neighbor might be up to no good." That goes
Well,
back to
because of the
see something,
position,
say something.
right?
Sorry.
The position that was held by the whistleblower is he was in a position where he could write um, complaints in the White House and submit them for review. And the idea that he met with Adam Schiff's, his cronies, his support team, that that whole thing just stinks. But he's a CIA asset. The first three letters in his last name are CIA, and I attempted to do a show last week that I was going to mention all of the Democrats that use a different name than their birth name. And the CIA is well known for giving people pet names. This guy, the whistleblower, was known as Charlie for his first part of this, and then they they add a CIA in front of his name, which has nothing to do with his damn name. Um, anyway, so if I say the name, they'll just flag this channel. They'll drop the video, which because they're being that stupid about it. Everybody in the country knows what the guy's name is, but is it really his name? Is the big question. And there's a whole bunch of Democrats that are using names that are not their legal name, and it makes you question the ability for them to sign documents when they use their fake name and they're signing these laws, so to speak. Are they even recognizable? Are they? Could they even be legal? And that's one of the big questions I have.
Well, did they legally change their name? Because it's like,
No,
when
they didn't. That's the thing. They don't. They just use the name.
hi, I'd like you to call me Queen Bee. And I just start
That's
referring
exactly
to
right.
myself as that.
Well, somebody just hit one on here. Nilda Bridgman says AOC's name is Jennifer Dawn Salazar. That's correct. It's not Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. So they create a name. They sign documents with these names. Barack Hussein Obama. He is not Barack Hussein Obama. His name is Barry Soetoro. So everything he signed as president under Barack Hussein Obama should not be able to be used. Yeah, Stepnik is a rock star. Yes, she is when she's allowed to speak. Uh, they shut her down a lot. I thought that might be sexist, but I guess it's not if it's a Democrat. Anyway,
So these people don't legally change their name.
no, no, they
They
don't.
just decide.
They just decide they're going to do it. Yep.
Huh. Things I did not know.
Yeah.
I had
Well,
no
there's
idea.
so many things that people just are not aware of that is going on
Well,
in our
there's so
government. It's
much.
just
It's like, yeah, I would have to spend all my time listening to every nugget. I think that's why forums like this are helpful. Something that I don't know. I might run across something that you don't know. You just can't
just
keep
don't leave
track
any
of it all.
footprints because they'll track you.
Uh, I just change my name and say, what does it matter? And it'll just
Yeah.
vanish or
There's Tim
disappear.
Clark. Mitt Romney is Pierre Delecto.
Wasn't that
Yeah. So
his fake his Twitter account or his Facebook or something? Wasn't that his name on there?
yeah, he actually used his real name.
Oh, that's his real name. I
No,
thought
it's
that was his fake name for Twitter or something. His
no. Apparently, his parents weren't as stupid as I thought. They really didn't name him after a baseball glove. So no, he just chose it. But I want to touch base here on something that I read today. I actually read it and then I heard it. Hearing it was disgusting because a woman's voice makes my hair stand up and sounds like a chalkboard and all that. And with her dentures constantly falling out, hearing all that clatter when she's trying to speak, it's pretty rough. But anyway, it says Nancy Pelosi tells Democrats that impeachment is important because the voters can't be trusted to make the right decision in 2020. Yes, folks, you are too stupid to vote for a president. You don't have the intellect of the Democrat Party.
sounds just like Hillary. What did Hillary say? What did she call us? The deplorables?
Yeah, the basket of deplorables
Yeah.
and irredeemables.
Yeah, boy, she didn't learn
But
anything from that, did she? If that's going to be her dumbass comment.
well, that's the problem. That's what they really believe about the people. That's why you have Maxine Waters saying, get in their face and make a crowd. You know, you got Antifa that's constantly coming after the Patriots. And that's going to stop too. But, you know, it's just repetitive. They hate anybody who has any conservative thought whatsoever. And, at some point they're going to hit a brick wall, and Patriots aren't going to be quiet anymore. Right now, there's too much submission. There's no coordination, and it's hard to, as you say, make a crowd and get in their face because the conservative people are waiting for the next person to do something, and that's so repetitive. Nothing gets done because everybody's waiting for somebody else to do something. I think we should have a 1 million man march or a 10 million man march to show them our real numbers and show up in DC. Just
And
be there.
I think it doesn't happen with the Republicans in office. It's greed. I think a lot of it. I think all of this boils down to power and greed. They don't care about us.
Absolutely.
And
No.
so they
We
will
are
rock the
useless
boat
either.
so we reelect them. They will rock the boat
Right.
enough so we will reelect them, but then nothing's gonna happen. We're gonna do for they started talking about impeaching him, laying the groundwork for impeachment 2 years ago. 2 years
19
ago.
minutes after he was sworn in.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
He you
Washington
know,
Post launched their article 19 minutes after he was sworn in that the impeachment has now begun.
and this, who is this guy right here? Attorney Zaid, Zaid.
Zaid.
Zaid wrote in July of 17 that the coup has started and the
Right.
impeachment will be following directly. They've been laying
Right.
this groundwork. We had the Kavanaugh thing that didn't work. We had the whole collusion thing that went on forever. They threw that crap up against the wall. It didn't stick. Now we're going to try and
Yeah,
throw these.
Dangerous Freedom just said we can't march like that unless we all can take a week off. And that is a very good reality. It
You know
really
what? I would
is
take the week
because
off, though. It's that important. I would take the week
I
off.
would, but the problem here again is some people would come back to not a job because there are so many corporations now and so many big tech companies that are controlled by left-leaning liberals that if you attempt to do something free thinking, then you could potentially come back and not have a job. Uh, so it's
Yeah, but we
really
could
really
start them in our
difficult.
own cities. We just had a thing here in Jacksonville. If anybody's on here from Jacksonville, Florida, they had a thing this weekend. And it was against the Republicans. It was, Democrats for a free society or some shit like that, or some stuff like that. And, we could start organizing things within our own community. I don't care if there's one, they film these things. Biden's in an elementary school doing a town hall meeting, but the way they frame the shot looks like hundreds of people are there.
Yeah.
Even if we
Right.
started with
Yeah.
just two people, me, my husband, and my
We
brother,
can frame our own shots.
yeah, exactly. And the rally cry was heard for, uh,
I'm going to
free
scan the
government.
crowd. When I move from you, you jump out and go around to the other side, and that
Feel
way
it
I
on
can
your
do a
head.
good
Put a hat on.
crowd scan. Yeah, right. Those television tricks I'm familiar with. I used to work in TV, so I did camera work. But yeah, I know how their game works to make a crowd look large. You actually push the
Yeah.
camera in and you pull out the focus, so it makes it look like the crowd expands real wide, and it's such a stupid illusion. But anyway, so that is, let's see, how many got fired or resigned, how many not running again, so much happening yet nobody sees. Mr. Mikey, yeah, it's true. There's a lot happening, but I realize that they have to take apart the superstructure before they can take apart the main structure, which would be the big wigs. But
Well, do you think term
the
limits would?
longer, do I think term limits would work? I
Yeah.
I don't know. For one thing, you're supposed to have a thing called a convention of states, which we've supposedly had the states in our corner for more than a year now. And when you do a convention of states, they can make amendments to the Constitution without the input of the House and Senate. But even though we've had the convention of states that has enough votes to make the decisions, they're somehow they're being allowed to be blocked by the House and the Senate from moving forward. And that kind of goes to the same concept as these activist lawyers. They're not supposed to be able to override a president, but the president can sign an executive order, and an underling judge out in southern Arizona
The
in the
ninth
desert with
district.
300 people population. Well, yeah, I mean they can say nope, putting a hold on that, can't do it, and
Yeah.
somehow they say, oh, okay, well, since you put the hold on it, they're not supposed to be able to do this. So you have to get control of the separate branches of government before anything else can be done. Any term limits, convention of states, anything. If you don't have control of the separate houses of government, then nothing is going to be able to be done.
Well, I understand that, but I was going more back to your point of the greed and the corruption. I Do you think that with term limits, a lot of this stuff would just be wiped off the board? A lot of this worrying about you'll offload my dirty little secret, so I'm going to act like I'm upset with you, but in the end, I'm going to do nothing. I'm just a pushover. And
Yeah, I don't really care.
in
I'm out of
that
here in two
vein,
and a half years. You know. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
exactly.
So if they had term limits, they don't have enough time to start, hopefully, their dirty little, path into public service. And that might stop a lot of these he said, because all this impeachment is a he said, she said, I think the phone call means this.
Right.
Well, even the president of
It's
Ukraine
an
said that's
absolute
not what it
farce.
is. Yeah, if people, they said
Right.
they did a poll, people don't know what quid pro quo means, so they're using the word
Yeah. Well, they dropped
bribery.
that.
So people, yeah, they're using the word bribery. So because people are dumb,
Yeah, they did a
and
focus group to find out exactly which words would be most impressive to the listening public,
yeah,
and these are the kind of games they play.
yeah,
But yeah, they figured out quid pro quo wasn't going to work, so they changed it to extortion and then to bribery. And they seem to be having a little success with bribery. The
yeah.
problem is they've got an audience of ignorant people that don't look up anything. They just listen to the rhetoric, and
And that's why with Schiff not
with
being
that,
under, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
I
mean
think,
he's got absolute immunity,
yeah, anytime that they
and that's got to
speak,
stop too.
yeah, absolutely. Because anytime they speak, they should be sworn in to tell the truth. Because that Maxine
Yeah,
Waters can go on TV and say, if you see anybody for the Trump campaign or Trump supporters in public, run them out of restaurants and things like that. That's crazy. That's
yes,
inciting
there's a
riot.
technical part of that though. Exactly. But in when you are in chambers, you will have total immunity. But when you are outside of chambers, things like what Maxine Waters says are not protected under the immunity. So technically, they could have picked her up, and
Right. For
for
inciting
potentially
riot and
inciting
crime
a
against,
riot.
but they don't.
But they
They
didn't.
don't even do
Right.
that, what is that called? Um, Congressional hand slap. What is that called when they get in trouble and they get, I don't know, in the military is a page 13. When when
Secession
they're punished,
or
I can't remember.
sanctioned.
Sanctioned, some kind of, yeah, they don't even do that. They're
No, but
not
they'll do
even
the
doing that.
ethics violation complaints against the Republicans every time they open their mouth.
Censure.
Censoring, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I see it down there.
Yeah. Take her, kill
Um,
them. Yeah.
yep. So it is fact that either I know everything and I've forgotten it all, or I don't know everything and I still need help. So I can't remember.
I don't know everything. I don't want to know
I
everything. God.
don't either. The stuff I know makes my head spin already.
Yeah.
Um, anyway,
But they
so
don't even do that with these
yeah,
people
I've
that
got
go out there. Go ahead. Sorry. I'll shut up.
yeah, they get away with murder. I mean, literally, and nothing seems to be done. And that's the trend of this whole show is when is something going to be done?
Exactly. And to educate the people that are listening to this, they said that the Louisiana governor's race was lost uh, because of Trump. That the Republican lost because the far left was so outraged that he came, that there was a big surgence at the poll of uneducated voters that pushed the Democrat over the top. And I mean, that you're being lied to. You are being lied to, but because they sit up there and they talk down their nose to you and you think they're so educated, you're going to jump on their bandwagon. How do you educate people
Right,
to do your own research? How do you educate people to look at the signs that are going on? They really thought that the big three TV stations would keep this proceedings on TV, and they're dropping out because their viewership. Nobody wants it. The only people that want to watch it are the people like
right.
me and you that want to hear what what the Democrats are doing. I don't care what the Republicans are doing. I want to know my enemy, you know? And
Right.
how do you educate? How do we get past this forum to educate, you know, people that aren't in this forum?
Well, you know how long they've had this propaganda campaign mastered. It's probably since about 1930, between 1930 and 1933. They became masters at propaganda and manipulation of population, and all they've done is expanded on that knowledge. And something that most people don't think about is even the frequency of a television broadcast. You have sounds, you have lights flashing, you have the actual frequency of the simulcast. Where if you look at a screen with a television camera, the screen looks like it's either flickering or rolling, and that's the visual frequency that they're dealing with. And all of these things have been mastered over a long period of time to completely mind melt the people that are watching the stuff. Um, you don't you don't think that they just came up with television programming by accident. It had nothing to do with programming. They are shows, but a television is set up with programming because they can manipulate you with frequencies, visual, and auditory manipulation. The whole thing is just a mind screw, and people have to, for one, get away from the TVs, and that would get them away from some of the mind melting frequencies that are used. 30
I agree.
hertz, yeah, Tigger. That's one of them, and they actually go into the 40 hertz, which is they I think 40s and above can actually give you headaches and make you very uncomfortable. So it's it's a game.
It is a game, and I there there's just so many ways, just in my simple mind, that I see that we could combat things. I don't know enough people. You know what I mean? I know, 50 people, and those 50 people might tell, their 50 people. And I think that's how it all has to start, is just little, you know, I live in a predominantly, the side of town that I live on is is primarily Democrat. And
Right.
the thought of putting a Trump sign in my yard, the thought that I instantly get, not on my car or anything like that, but in my yard, is vandalism.
Well,
Isn't that a
that's when you have
shame?
to hook it up to an electric circuit.
Well,
You hook it up to an
yeah, but
electric fence, and that way they get about 40 volts. It won't hurt anybody. I mean, it does hurt, but it won't
yeah,
kill anybody. But it'll sure get their attention. But you use one of those electric cattle fences, and you just hook it up to either side of the wire on your sign. And when somebody comes up to grab that sucker, they get 40 volts.
yeah.
It keeps
Well,
bulls and cows and horses in your pasture, so it'll definitely keep somebody off your lawn trying to take your sign.
yeah, yeah. But there, because there's that component, because I'm not a fearful person, but I do have to use my brain, and I can't, first off, I'm, wiring any sign up out there and have some little kid touch it, coming home from school or something. But
What a rush. The
what a
good news
lawsuit.
is that most kids are pretty smart and they would only do it once, unless they were like, hey, y'all, watch this. Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my sippy cup.
Right.
Yeah, but I see here in the chat that a lot of people are talking about the judges, and
Right.
I highly recommend that every time you go to vote, you vote a judge out, unless it's a Republican judge. And I know they don't
Yeah.
advertise, what they are, the local judges, but
You can listen to them. But the biggest fear I have on 2020 comes right from the horse's ass. I mean, mouth, from the Democrats. They've made it clear that they will run Republican candidates. And then when they are elected into their positions by people that just go down the Republican line, Then as soon as they get in there, they'll go ahead and change back to their Democrat Party. And personally, I think that should be illegal. I think you should have to resign your seat and get out to run under a new party. But they get away with that too. They just decide, oh, I'm going to change parties after they've been elected by their constituents on a certain party line. So that's something that people really, really have to watch out for. You got to listen to what the people say, because if they are a liberal, they're going to say things like a liberal. And if they're a Republican saying things like a liberal, you can bet that they are not being honest with you.
Well, yeah, because you can go back and look at their prior public record and see, how their thoughts, the papers that they've written, the speeches that they've given to determine what kind of person they are. But I do see
Right.
a lot of uh, what are they called? What's that called? Rhinos? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, rhinos, which
Rhinos?
I
Yeah,
hate because I love the rhino. They're one of my favorite critters, and I can't stand the fact that they took the name of these Republicans and name only and tried to steal a rhino figure for them.
yeah. But you really have to research. And now that you're telling me, I've never thought to go so far back to see, and what was their, the name on their birth certificate, what's their government name. And I never
Right.
thought about, going that far back. That's just
Yeah, I
insane.
mean, it's
And who's doing the vetting around here then? If they vet the military and they vet all these people for these different positions, are they only vetted
they've
depending
had a
on who they
long
are
time.
or how much money they have, or
They've had a long
what
time to get the
decides how
liberals
much
into
vetting you get?
positions. Yeah, well, I mean, once you have liberals in the positions of Overwatch, which they really are, they own all the media outlets, they own the social media outlets, they're in key positions in massive corporations, they're in positions in our government, and it's taken them, it really kicked off in 1913 with the Federal Reserve Act and all the illegality that came along with that, along with the IRS. It started all the way back there, so they've had over 100 years to get everybody in positions that they wanted them in, and then keep control of those positions so that they can continue to manipulate society. And in World War II, going back to probably the late 1920s, before the actual start of World War II, is they were really starting to master the control of mass population, using fear tactics and propaganda. So none of this stuff is new. It's just been well rehearsed, and many places have been mastered because they've been at it for so long.
Yeah, I I don't know. I still have, the belief that we were a decent country. I still think we are a decent country. I think that we're getting off on the wrong footing, and I hope to come back to a more uh, central footing, and and not be, yeah, just a more central footing, and to be able to stick with our core beliefs that way back, with George Washington and all the writers, to come back to that and
We
move
have to get rid of the
forward. Those
bankers.
things, the bankers,
Yes,
and getting
that
rid of the
is
bankers
the
does what?
that would free up most of the
Pardon?
countries on the planet. The bankers control all of the central banks throughout the world, and all of them were seized in some form or another illegally. The You've got to go back to the actually to the assassination of Lincoln. That was the second attempt at getting the central bankers in charge of countries, and specifically the U.S. Their final attempt was successful in 1913 under illegal actions. But when the banks took control of the countries, They became the final answer and the final decision makers for anything that those countries do in their government, using the power of the purse, saying, if you don't do what we tell you to do, we'll crash the economy and everybody will suffer. So they set up a debt system that can never possibly be paid back. The best example is from a guy I follow on Icons, and he says the best way to do an example of what the bankers do is it says, well, let me borrow $100. The next week, you go back to the person, I was supposed to pay you this $100, but I'm a little short, so let me borrow another $100 so I can pay you back, and I'll get you back the rest of it next week. So you keep doing this, and it's impossible to pay the debt back. Debt has enslaved entire populations and entire
Yeah.
countries.
Mhm.
So you get rid of the bankers, and you then can take back control of your government. And it's simple. Get rid of the central banks, put the money back under the national treasury, and create our own treasury notes, and everything at that point can start to rebuild because governments will be free of the bank cartels.
I think, well, that makes
I know it
sense. It
makes you
all
think.
that what you just said, it just makes sense. We need to do something. I'm tired of hearing these Republicans saying, we're gonna, soldier on and we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Well, somebody get to the bottom of something. Somebody, because I don't want to vote right now as it stands right now today. I don't want to vote for one person that's currently in office because they're
Well,
all, in
I'm
my mind, just so corrupt. Republican, I don't care. I just don't want to vote for one of them because they're not doing anything. And I don't want to be told, well, the
well, I have
Democrats are doing all this, so we can't. No, you can't. You just have to
right.
work harder
Yeah.
and smarter.
Well, I've been real lucky. We've got a representative here, Matt Gates, that represents our district here in the Panhandle, and he's a genuinely good guy. I've met him several times. I am a pretty good judge of character when I can get close enough to somebody to know kind of what's going on. But he's a good representative, but he's as hamstrung as the rest of them. He's been pretty aggressive lately, like walking into their closed meeting and bringing pizza. I thought that was world class, but it's they're hamstrung because of the Democrat system and the system of control. All they have to do is flick him off like a bug, and there's not much he could do about it. So
Mhm.
the bottom line is we've got to take control away from the elites, and you know,
And they're not
even
gonna
with a
let it
good
go. They're not gonna
representative,
go away quietly. They're not gonna go away
no, absolutely
quietly.
not. Well, they've made it clear that they. I mean, Nancy Pelosi said that if they can't bring down the president, they'll bring it all down. What the hell does that mean?
Exactly. What are these threats? I don't know why. I can't go around threatening people. I'll get arrested. You can't go around just
Yeah,
threatening people because everybody's so sensitive now. Oh, they threatened me, so my life is in danger, so throw them underneath the jail. What are these threats?
right.
And what gives you the right, but not me the right to threaten somebody? You've threatened the whole
Yeah,
country.
and they've gotten so emboldened that they do the threats outside of chambers where they don't,
Yeah,
where they're not supposed to have the immunity, and they still don't get approached. Look at all the actors that said, "Oh, I just want to kill the president," or
I know.
somebody needs to blow up the White House and all this stuff, and
Yeah, if you would have
you don't
said
hear about them
anything
being
like that
hauled
about
off.
Obama, yeah, if you would have said one boo word about Obama, it, well, I saw DM was going to start a
Yeah.
cuss jar on me, so I'm not going to say anything else because I I don't have
Well,
any good use of English
after this,
language when it comes to him.
after this Copa or Coupa, whatever they call it, thing on the December 10th, it won't really matter what the hell we say because every channel is adults only. So, I've already got my channel for adults only. So if I happen to slip up now on live TV, we're not having to deal with the FCC at this point. So let them rip. But,
Well,
you
I
know,
just had seen in the chat that she said she was going to start a cuss jar, so I'll behave.
Yeah, Jeff Brudell, he's dealing with that red flag bullshit, and I am very sorry for you, brother. I know it's difficult, and whenever you get your stuff hammered out, and not before, but I definitely want to have you on. We're going to talk for
I s-
a while
what
about that.
happened? What, I just read it. I
I
just see it here in the chat.
Yeah, isn't I'm out of respect for him. I'm not going to discuss it
Okay.
now, but when
Okay.
he gets settled with courts and stuff like that, then I'm definitely going to be chatting with him after everything's done and he's out of danger and all this other. Then we'll talk about it, because double jeopardy still works, even though they don't want it to. They still can't do things twice. Um,
I watch a lot of the old World War II movies and documentaries and stuff. And there was a time of when the country was, on pins and needles, and everybody was suspicious of everybody else. And the Germans were
right,
touting, if you see something, say something. And, their kids were
the
turning
brown
on their
shirts,
parents. Yeah. Yeah. And all that.
right.
And I think with these red flag policies. That's what's happening here. I can make my neighbor upset. All he has to do is call somebody. I can say, "Hey,
Well, it's
you,
like
you know,
my
you sprayed weed killer too far over on my yard," and he
right,
could he could just take a walk on the wild side and ruin my whole life over some weed killer.
right. Yeah, it's like my kids when they were young, and I had to tell them that they're going to clean up that room, or I'm going to whoop their ass. Well, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call DCF if you threaten to whoop my ass. And I said, okay, well
Got a
here's
number
here's the
for you.
phone, and start dialing. Let me see if I can whoop your ass faster than you can dial the whole number.
Yeah.
And they never wanted to take that challenge, but
Yeah,
so
and
it's the
but see,
same
kids
thing.
have that today. Yeah, kids have that today, and they use it.
Yeah, well, mine would be using it, and on my way out the door, they'd have a black and blue ass. I mean, I
Yeah.
grew up in the day you respect your parents, and if you don't, it's a painful life experience. But it's the same thing going on now.
Yeah,
I
well, it
keep
is.
seeing
But
your
think
shadow walk behind you.
that was my brother. I think that's my brother that keeps going back and forth.
Yeah,
Yeah. He said, yeah, that's him. Yeah.
he just wants to be famous on television and all that.
Eric, do you want to come say hello?
Hey, Tony, good to see you, brother. Yeah, we are at 8:57, and you wouldn't believe this, but I actually had probably a half a dozen more articles that I wanted to talk about. But it's just
Yeah,
the
I
the
had
time
tons of them.
flies, and there's so much crap going on that this is what we have to deal with. Um, you know, you have an hour to try to get out a month's worth of dark information, and it just isn't possible. Tony says, if anyone hasn't seen my last video, it was 30 seconds long. Oh, yeah. Yeah, about Eric Swallowswell blowing fuses behind him as he was talking on live TV. He's trying to say, oh, I
Oh,
was sliding in a coffee cup.
I heard that. I heard that interview.
I did want to let me go over this real quick. I wanted to bring this up because this could be a tiny little light that may not be the train at the end of the tunnel. And it says Antifa thug gets what he deserves. If you've heard me say it once, you've heard me say it 1,000 times. I can't stand Antifa. Well, me neither. My dislike for the domestic terrorist group has a lot to do with how they've been taken what should be a pure idea, fighting against fascism, and perverted it and twisted it into something that is fascist and just as dangerous as the brown shirts of old. Um, However, their hypocrisy aside, that's not where my biggest problem with Antifa lies. Anyway, so one of the Antifa guys, I know I don't have time to read the whole article, but one of them is finally getting nailed for the slugging the guy in the head with a pipe. And, it's about time, because these people are terrorists. And
Terrorist.
I swear to God, when the Patriots get tired of them, they're going to wish like hell they wouldn't have done this. But our passive aggressive stance and our standoff nature, We don't want to hurt anybody. We don't want to cause a problem. At some point, you have to put that away and say, if you come at me with your black face and your darked out clothing and your tactical gloves, I'm going to take you down. And then it needs to happen. It doesn't need to be an idle threat. If they come at you aggressively, you need to take them all the way down and start making examples of these kids. Let them realize that if they want a war, they're going to get it. And if they want it one at a time, we'll go toe to toe. But if they want to start bringing groups in to try to take out patriots, they better think about it. Yeah, Clan Tifa.
I agree.
Anyway, anything else you wanted to bring up before we jump out of here? Because oops, she just dropped out of here. I bet she bumped that button again. But all right, so that is our hour completely. I'm sure Belinda right now is giving a whole new vocabulary to her computer, and she's probably waving her hand frantically. So I will say goodnight on her behalf. Thank you to my mods. You guys rock this joint. You guys really do a good job, and I appreciate you 100%. All you folks that came to hang out with us for this hour, God bless you all. I know you could be doing anything, and I just love the fact that you guys want to hang out with me. I just think that's just very, very cool. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed everything. And with that being said, I will give you guys a do or a don't. And until next time, stay in the fight.